Welcome back to WagerTalk.com. Saturday college football action. We've got Ohio State at Penn State. This is going to be Brian Leonard's free pick. Brian, you've got two teams that at this moment in time, they're heading opposite ways on the freeway. Penn State opened the season nice. James Franklin comes in, takes over from leaves Vanderbilt, takes over the job Penn State. We thought, I'm one, and many other people thought there would be a drop-off from Penn State. In the first four games, we didn't see it. They played well. Their defense played well. They were bringing back, a star quarterback, one of the, the better quarterbacks in the Big Ten. But the last two games, losses, and more alarming, they haven't scored any points. Ohio State, on the flip side, had those first two games at the beginning of the season. They struggled with Navy for 3/4 of the game, finally put them away. Then, had the game two where they lost to Virginia Tech. But since then, man, they're putting up some numbers in Columbus, aren't they?
Yeah, they really are. And if you play the stock market, you got, as you kind of mentioned, you got one down, one up. And we always know when you have a situation like that, you're going to see some variance, some regression back to the mean. I really like the scheduling spot here for Penn State. They've had 2 of the last 3 weeks off, which is huge because they've got a new coaching staff in there. James Franklin coming over from Vanderbilt. Anytime you're in your first season, I'd like to play teams that are coming off of a bye, and they've had byes 2 of the last 3 weeks. So you got a nice situation there. And when you take a look at Penn State at home, the defense is really carrying this team all year long. They're allowing 13 points a game. Now, granted, they haven't played a great opponent list at home, but they're holding those opponents below their season averages by 10, 17, and by 4 points. So they're doing better than what was expected at home. And Ohio State right now, you're mentioning, they're at a high right now, so you're paying high on a price for Ohio State.
Yeah, when you've played 4 straight games where you've scored 50 or more points, and not only 4-0 straight up, but 4-0 against the spread, we know the public is pretty loyal to teams that get them to the winner's circle, and the stock can't get any higher. Now, you mentioned about the bye weeks, and that's something that is situational handicappers. We put that in because it's a huge advantage, especially if you've got a good coaching staff. They're going to use that time wisely. I have to admit, the first time they had the 2 weeks to prepare, we actually did a video on that one, and I took Penn State in that one against Michigan. Penn State laid an egg in that one. I mean, as bad as Michigan was playing, and I know we're talking, Michigan was kind of like a wounded animal playing at home. It was a night game, and their backs were against the wall. And sometimes we see these games where it's a national spotlight game. The stats don't dictate what ends up happening on the field. The team rises to the occasion, much like we saw this week with the Pittsburgh Steelers on Monday Night Football. But that same role now would be the role that Penn State is in. They're playing, a night game at Happy Valley. They don't play a lot of night games at Happy Valley. Not obviously because it's Ohio State and their ranking. It's an 8 o'clock game, national spotlight. Does Penn State, that's an added advantage to them. The alumni, they'll have all day to be sitting there in the parking lot drinking. And if you've ever been to Happy Valley, State College, there's not a lot to do in State College other than eat ice cream at the creamery, drink, and go to the football games.
Is that why they call it Happy Valley, because everybody's drunk at the football games?
Absolutely.
Trying to say?
Absolutely.
But at Penn State, not only did they have the byes 2 out of the last 3 weeks, they've only played 1 road game the last 6 weeks. So this is a team that's had a lot of practice time at home. And you take a look at their defense, they're only allowing 61 yards defensively on the ground. And really, that's what Ohio State does, is they run the football. So it's a good spot here for them. And you take a look at Ohio State, and granted, I'm an Ohio State fan. I watch every game there. But go back and look at that schedule. I mean, they haven't really been tested. They played Navy, as you pointed out, Virginia Tech. None of the teams they've played are having a good football season. Navy, Virginia Tech, Kent State, Cincinnati, Maryland, and Rutgers. Now, Maryland and Rutgers, give them a little bit of a mulligan since it's their first year in the Big Ten. But every team they played is having a down year. Nobody's having a great year. So I'm not sure if we really know how good Ohio State is now. And, of course, Penn State may be considered having a down year also, so we may still not know after this game.
Well, it's always dangerous to do, but you brought up Rutgers. It is a common opponent. Both of these teams have played Rutgers. Obviously, Ohio State got Rutgers at home, and they beat them 56-17. Penn State played Rutgers on the road, beat them 13-10. My only concern with Penn State is 4 of their last 5 games, they've scored 21 points or less. The only team that if you take away the 21 they scored at Akron, they scored 13 at Rutgers, 6 at Northwestern, and 13 at Michigan. The only team they put any offense up was against UMass, where they scored 48. That is my only concern with them. They got to find some offense, but with the extra week, I think James Franklin finds a way. You're on Penn State here, plus the points. Seeing the game at 14 as the public's going to Ohio State, I think I got to agree with you. The night game in Happy Valley, I think they get the job done. And guys, this week, if you head over to wagertalk.com, you can check it out. I've got a big play going this week. It is my one and only college football game of the year. It's the Big Enchilada. You can check that out at wagertalk.com. You guys know I've been around for, this is my 35th football season. I'm 26-8 during my career with this one game. Check it out at wagertalk.com. All right, we're going to be back. We're going to head into the NFL. We've got 3 games up in the NFL. That's up next, wagertalk.com.